This meeting will come to order. This special meeting was called by the Health, Welfare, and Building Regs Committee, which consists of Councilman Lippman, Chairperson, Councilman Creamer, and Councilman Ed Lewis, the court, for purposes to discuss possible passage of Ordinance 152-219. Roll call.
Creamer,
Present.
Cunningham,
Present.
Gray,
Here.
Harris,
Here.
Irwin,
Here.
Lewis,
Present.
Littman, Manson,
Here.
and Sarah.
Here.
Roll call of 8 present.
Councilman Manson,
Make a motion to excuse Councilwoman Littman.
second by Councilwoman Creamer. Roll call.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Irwin,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Manson,
Yes.
Starrett,
Yes.
and Creamer.
Yes.
8 yes to excuse Councilwoman Littman.
Thank you. Councilman Lippman has been excused. Before we go into Ordinance 152, Councilwoman Cunningham.
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. I just want to give a shout out to the Tigers, the fabulous Tigers, on their 55-0 win. And we will take care of Perry, even against the, I shouldn't say that, against the powers that be who put us into a teensy weeks ago stadium. Go Tigers.
Okay. Ordinance number 152, 2019.
Okay, we need to ask for any remarks of delegates or citizens on the matters on the agenda. On the agenda. You got the agenda from the police office.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and speak on ordinance number 152, 2019? If you wish to do so, please come forward, state your name, address. Seeing none, Councilman Creamer.
Ordinance number 152-2019, an ordinance amending section 521, health, safety, and sanitation of the codified ordinances of the city of Massillon, Ohio, by repealing ordinance 521.04, sidewalk obstructions, damage, or injury, and enacting an amended ordinance 521.04, sidewalk obstructions, damage, or injury, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Creamer.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want clarification, Diane, that this ordinance 152-2019 is requesting appealing of section 521.04, not ordinance.
Correct.
Okay, so as discussed very briefly at the work session, we wanted to get something in place regarding this concern for the downtown area. So with this, we are requesting to amend that section 521.04 of this ordinance. Has everyone had a chance to review this? Because I would like to ask the law director to come up and give us a brief overview of these changes or of this Exhibit A of 521.04.
Thank you, Ms. Gadsden.
Okay, what you have before you is what I believe was the intent of council with respect to the conversations we had to, I guess, a temporary fix of downtown while you work on a more permanent solution. I sort of say that because if you read section F2 and 3, the words permanent and temporary use. It was my understanding that you wanted language that at this time, any permanent fixture, and that's why I have the language, including but not limited to fencing, tables, chairs, or any other furniture, is prohibited from downtown. So I'm saying this slowly. Again, I'm going by what was communicated at a previous council meeting that was I'm hoping I achieved your intent. And then section 3, I 3 comes about, no temporary fixture, again, including but not limited to fencing, tables, or chairs shall be on the sidewalk between December 1st and March 1st of the calendar year for ease of snow removal. So again, I'm going by what was communicated at a couple of council meetings ago, but I mean, I'm looking to you to see if that's what your intent was.
And that was my understanding of the intent. With that, you know, we understand that this is, as law director stated, this is temporary. So we can spend time having discussions, getting the correct verbiage that we would like to propose.
And the ordinance, or the amended and proposed ordinance that was up for discussion previously, you know, there was more to it as far as the aesthetics of any fences or any items down there. I mean, this is just, again, my attempt at getting your, you know, the temporary restriction on any permanent fixtures. Again, you know, it's a little confusing, but this is what I was hoping you guys wanted.
So just to clarify, so we will not have any temporary fixtures, fencing, tables, chairs through December 1st through March 1st. And then we also will have no permanent fixtures.
Correct. I mean, again,
For this specific proposal we have in front of us.
correct, as long as codified ordinance 521.04, if you choose to accept these changes, as long as these changes remain in place. And again, you know, I don't think we have any type of permanent fixtures other than fences out there over the past few months. I don't think, you know, affixed any permanent chairs or tables or anything like that, but I did get a little bit more of an expansive view to permanent fixture than what was in the previous proposed ordinance. But again, I don't think we had any permanent tables or chairs out there, but just to sort of broaden that definition as you guys try to parse through what you want in the sidewalk ordinance to look like.
Councilman Kramer?
I have another question. Does anyone else have any additional questions for the law director? Just, so if we move forward with this and get council approval regarding the temporary fixtures between now and December 1st, because that's when they have to be removed, will the city be liable if these establishments place temporary tables and chairs out on the sidewalk and we have some storm that they are blown into the street and causes harm to somebody? Will the city be liable for something like this based on the verbiage?
I mean, as I always fall back on the caveat that the city can be sued for anything at any time. I mean, I think if we're going to take that approach, then we should ban anything on anybody's sidewalk in front of their business 365 days a year. I mean, you know, there's a lot of factors to say that the city is liable. I mean, I mean, my gut reaction at this point would say, no, not necessarily. I mean, when you're talking about, you know, are you talking about a tornado type of wind coming through downtown and somebody has something out on their sidewalk? I mean, I think if that's a concern, then it should be at everything.
Not saying it's a concern, I was just, you know, just based on the previous discussion that we had at the work session, and there was some statement of that made.
Well, and I think, you know,
bring it up.
a portion of common sense has to come into play as well. You know, with anyone with regard to sidewalks or weather in Ohio. I mean, if you would have told me that we would have snow when we woke up this morning, you know, other than watching the news, I would have said, really, you know, on November 12th. But yes, we get snow beyond those months. So I think it's a matter of, again, you know, wanting to, you know, the city's role of wanting to, you know, perhaps have the best path of snow removal downtown, and I'm sure the businesses want, you know, ease of getting into their businesses when there is snow on the ground. So want downtown to flourish, and we want these very aesthetically pleasing types of tables, chairs, or other items that may draw people into the businesses. But I think, there comes a point where, yeah, if you see the weather and a big snowstorm's coming, you don't have items that can easily be blown away and cause, yeah. That's my, I guess, that question.
Does anyone else have any questions for Ms. Gaza? Seeing none?
Okay, with emergency language, I would like to make a motion that we waive the rules requiring 3 readings and bring in ordinance 152-2019 forward for a vote as an amendment.
Do you have a second for the amendment?
As an amendment.
Yeah. She has to,
I need to amend?
yes,
Okay,
first.
okay. So I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance 152-2019.
To reflect section instead of ordinance 521.04.
Correct. To reflect section 521.04.
Second by Councilman Manson. Roll call for the amendment.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Irwin,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Manson,
Yes.
Scarlett, Creamer,
Yes.
and Cunningham.
Yes.
8 yes to amend ordinance number 152-2019.
Thank you. Ordinance number 152-2019 has been amended. Councilman Creamer?
So this goes back to first reading, correct? So at this time, I would like to make a motion to waive the rules requiring 3 readings and bring ordinance 152-2019 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Lewis. Roll call for suspension.
Harris,
Yes.
Irwin,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Manson, Scarlett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Irwin,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Manson,
Yes.
Scarlett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Harris.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, ordinance number 152-2019 has passed. And before I end the session, I would like to state that the city officials that are present with us tonight are Safety Service Director Mark Sylvester, Auditor Jane Ferraro, Law Director Andrew Scaza, Economic Development Director David Maley, Health Department Commissioner Terry Argent, and from the Engineers Department, we have Joseph McGill. This meeting's adjourned.
First of all, I am going to be requesting we go to executive session, but I think we'll wait till the end of our meeting. We'll get all the rest of the other work out of the way, and we'll go to executive session. We won't keep anybody here that we don't have to keep. Okay, having said that, starting right at the top with community development, we have one request, and I'll read that. Please prepare an ordinance for an economic development grant for Stark Medical Specialties, 2458 Lincoln Way, East Massillon, Ohio. The owners are 5 doctors associated with the practice. The requested funds are for building renovations and moving costs. The grant would cover a portion of those costs that would be for an amount of $15,000. I read that. I'm going to ask Mr. Maley if he would please come up and give us an explanation and answer any questions. Any council?
Thank you, Ms. Manson. This grant is for Stark Medical Specialties. They currently reside in Perry Township, planning on coming here to Massillon in the Home Depot Plaza. Let me state right off the bat, the 5 doctors that will be in the practice are Dr. Carrie David, Dr. Wayne Gross, Dr. Michael Markle, Dr. Anthony Perry, and Dr. Scott Williams. The grant is to assist them in build-out cost, relocation costs, which they estimate to be over $300,000. Projected full-time jobs will be about 24 at this point. Projected annual revenue would be 1.9 million with a payroll of 1.25. I can answer any questions. I do have two representatives from Stark Medical Specialties here, Dr. Terry David and Colleen King. You guys want to put the microphone right there?
I have a question. Are they located in the building now that was sold at auction that was owned by Affinity?
Yes.
Across from Doctor's Hospital? And why are they living there?
Our lease is up November 30th.
Thank you.
I'm trying to think of all the economic development grants we have given. Seems like most of them are a little bit more centrally located in town. I thought they were tied to CDBG, but apparently this is not the case.
No, it's never been that way. Actually, we've given grants. We recently just gave a grant for the Packard Children's Plaza up there, if you remember. Most of them have been downtown, sort of, but they are spread out.
Just a comment on that, we gave a grant to Pampa Nails. That's not,
On
Yes.
the far west side, yeah.
I don't know, I can't think of any other one way out of town right now, but yeah, we did do that.
And then I'm sorry, we have a payroll over 100,000.
I'm sorry?
There's an annual payroll over.
Yeah, annual payroll, 1,250,000. And we have done brailers, we've done pampered nails,
It's 2%, right?
Yeah.
RT Hampton. Let me just look at some other pages. Yeah. That's about it. Other than that.
Anybody else have any questions? Tomorrow, you might go ahead.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the funding, that $15,000 will be used for?
For our meeting expenses, as well as renovating the plaza, we have to renovate the plaza, the common, the rooms, the offices.
The entire building that you're going to be in, you're going to have to renovate it all.
Sure.
What part of the plaza will we be located in?
When you're looking at Home Depot, you look on the right-hand side, or right next to the preschool.
They're hoping that our presence there will bring other tenants because it has sat empty quite a long time.
We're very excited
And coming on.
Move date
November 30th.
this year.
This year.
So we would collect all of 2020 taxes.
Yes.
And the rough estimation is we're looking about, maybe you know, about 20 to 25,000 in taxes that we would be capturing. So it would pay us back for the year. Just because we have to ask, I'm assuming we've inquired about the ethical nature of the relationship of one of the doctors to the administration.
I have directly inquired with the law director.
Andrew, come up and address that.
I just noticed this grant towards the end of last week, so no, I have not inquired with the Ethics Commission, I guess, to give you a solid legal answer.
We established business that has a hefty payroll that would be great to live in the city, but I do want to make sure that we don't have any ethical issues that we're crossing.
Yeah, I think, you know, we put an emergency, but still, I'm going to guarantee it's going to be released. Something I wanted to point out is what he brought up about the taxes. You know, that was my complaint, that's why I voted against Alton on Wales Road, and I still believe that way. The doctors were left out of that. They do not pay city income taxes. All the other people are working 97% of the building. The therapists, janitors, the office help, all of those people pay city income tax. The doctors did. In this case, these doctors are going to be paying city income tax. So, and you did point out it's about $20,000. It could be maybe more than that. But now you see what I was, the way I didn't pass. So I'm willing to sign this and get it on, but I do understand the question, so I think, you know, I hope the law department, law director would give us a strong statement on it at some point. Okay, anybody else with questions? Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. What was that before we didn't get anything out of it? All right. Next one. Environmental day.
I have nothing.
Health and welfare, Linda is not here, I don't believe she has anything in there, does she? No. No. Okay. Parks and Rec, yes, we do.
I do. So this is, please prepare an ordinance to accept the contract between Massillon City School District, Board of Education, and the City of Massillon Parks and Recreation Department. This contract was approved by the Park and Rec Board 5-0. What we did not get in the email when this was sent out, I just kind of wanted to go over a few things that's included in this contract between Massillon City School District Board of Education and the Parks and Rec Department. So the board, in consideration for such, the board shall pay the city a one-time payment amount of $50,000, which the city will be used to renovate the tennis courts. So these are the tennis courts, the 5 tennis courts, Reservoir Park, yes. The board shall be given priority over use by other individuals or entities. The scheduling of the use of the tennis court shall be done by the board's athletic director and department's directors. And this agreement is from October 1st, 2019 through and including September 30th, 2039. The total project of the renovations of these 5 courts was $199,000 paid by the park department in addition to this donation of $50,000 from Massillon City Board of Education. I'm going to bring Andrea, the live director, up so she can just answer any questions and go into any more details that I failed to communicate.
If I can, I guess, just add a couple things. When Steve brought this to me, you know, I guess let me first and foremost say that I can understand why the schools want a written agreement if they are giving the park and rec department $50,000. My understanding from Steve, and Steve was going to be here tonight, but he apologizes if he couldn't make it. Essentially, this has been the agreement between the park and rec board and the schools. They've always had first dibs, if you will, you know, on the tennis court. So, you know, they're essentially just putting in writing what has been the long-standing agreement between the schools and the park and rec board. So with that being said, now that they are giving money towards it, because I believe this is the first time that they've actually paid towards any renovation or towards any improvements to the tennis courts, want to solidify that because, you know, as I said to Steve, yes, you've had this verbal agreement, but who's to say, you know, a different park and rec board gets installed, a different park and rec director takes over and says, you know what, no way, we're not honoring this agreement, and, you know, they've given us 50,000. So I understand why they're bringing forward this agreement. As far as the term of 20 years, you know, that's something I would say for the park and rec board and the schools to figure out, as far as length of time versus how much is paid. But with it being city property and a lease such as that, that's why I did feel it needed to come to this body for the approval as well as the park and rec board's approval.
So really, this changes nothing other than the schools are actually giving us $50,000 towards the upgrades.
Yes, and, you know, I asked Steve, you know, other than the schools using this as their home, you know, their home court, you know, and the citizen or the person who goes and uses the tennis courts, you know, as part of our park system, do we have any other tennis tournaments or any other, you know, type of organized tennis leagues that use the park? And he said no. You know, he said now with renovations and upgrades, is that a possibility that they could be approached? He said possibly. He said they've never been approached as long as he's been there, you know, by a, you know, tennis league or any, you know, other tennis league. But if he would, then obviously the schools would have priority for this agreement.
Just one question before I go to the auditor. So your recommendation is to accept this agreement. You don't have any issues? I mean, the time frame, you have no reservations regarding the time frame of this agreement for 20 years?
I mean, I have no reservations in the sense of if the Park and Rec Board is comfortable with accepting $50,000 for essentially a 20-year lease in the sense of honoring what has been a long-standing agreement between the Park and Rec Board and the schools, then I have no issue with it.
Okay, I'd like to call up the auditor, Jane Thorne.
I have a question for you, Councilwoman. They have not paid their $50,000 yet, the Massillon City Schools, and this body has approved their $50,000, so you have paid it up front, so they owe us that money, and I have asked them to make sure that they pay that before the end of this year, so we can receive that in the 2019 fiscal year. So has that been discussed at these meetings, that $50,000?
I do recall that statement being made that they have not paid that one-time payment yet.
Okay. And I think that Superintendent Salvino has agreed that we would get that early in December.
Okay. So between, I know Steve requested emergency language with this. So between now and Monday, I will get confirmation regarding the date for payment.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I would imagine that the reason why they haven't paid the $50,000 is because, yeah, they want to make sure that both of our governing bodies approved it before they cut us a check for $50,000 and then say, guess what, you know, we're not going to agree to it. So,
All right. Thank you, Director. Anyone else? Questions? That's it.
Just on that same thing, I'd just like to double up on it. Can we be absolutely certain it'll happen before the first of the year because our auditor wants to see the money? You know, I mean, that's, they can understand that. Somebody convey that to them.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
That is it.
Next one is police and fire, Jason.
just have the tables ordinance that we, I have nothing new as far as from the department on that.
All right. Public utilities, the reading said there was nothing. Rules and torts, Mike?
Yes, I have one item. This request from the law department. The Stark County Public Defender's Office has approached Mass Municipal Court and requested that the city of Massillon renew the contract wherein the Stark County Public Defender will provide legal representation for indigent defendants that are charged with violation of city ordinances. Previously, the municipal court appointed private counsel to represent indigent defendants charged with a violation of city ordinance. However, appointing private counsel generally costs more than paying the public defender's flat fee of $195 per case for the representation of indigent defendants. Payment in accordance with this contract will be paid from the municipal court fund that currently pays private counsel appointed to represent indigent defendants. This duration of this contract is for the period January 1, 2020, terminating December 31, 2020, with an option to renew the contract for a period of 1 year. And this has emergency language. Would the law director, Scott, like to speak?
This is one of the contracts that we bring forth to you every year. I can answer any questions you have, but you explained it pretty well pursuant to the legislation request.
Any questions?
Just as a comment, this is only for city ordinances that are charged, and we rarely charge city ordinances due to the fact that we have to then pay the jail if they're jailed, correct?
Correct. We are very careful, I would say, in the city ordinance cases that we charge, and that's misdemeanors M1 through M4. If you look through our codified ordinances, and we do have a good number of city ordinances, and whenever we talk about, for instance, code enforcement type of cases or other types of cases, separate and apart from traditional type of criminal cases, but when we talk about attaching any type of criminal penalty through our city ordinances, I do try to make you mindful of that, that when you do start to talk about criminal penalties above a minor misdemeanor with the city ordinances, that this is a consideration that we have to weigh. And the cost of doing business.
My question is, this would be the first year of this contract, or we've not done it this way previously?
No, we do it this way every year. When we say previously, I'm talking about way long
way previous.
years. Yeah, previously meaning like.
So we're just, again,
This
we're
is
just
a renewal.
updating or renewing what we've been doing in the past.
Correct, yes, it's just a renewal of the contract, and the $195 is what it has been for, I think, a long time.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Streets and highways, Mike.
And nothing.
Finance.
First piece we have is the Economic Development Fund appropriation that will go along with the readings from community development. The second one here, we have legislation to appropriate $6,537.31 in the Parks and Rec Fund. Mr. Pedro will be here next week. He apologizes for not being able to be here tonight. He said we'll discuss this with us and give us details at the meeting. We'll discuss that then. Goes from the park, yeah, it's part of it. The next one is coming from the municipal court's appropriation from the unappropriated balance of the safety force and improvement fund of $4,000 to go with servicing contracts. And this is the program radios for encryption to comply with the sheriff's marketing system. I spoke to Judge Elam. This is just another process to ensure that we're able to communicate with the other law enforcement. Any questions or discussion this evening? And then this one is please prepare legislation authorizing the mayor of the city of Massillon, Ohio to approve a one-year prisoner transport agreement between the city of Massillon and subdivisions using the city's prisoner transport service and authorizing the auditor of the city of Massillon to deposit said funds into the general fund and capital improvement fund effective January 1. Again, this is a contract that we do every year, so when we have prisoners that come in and have court and they have to be held at the county jail or whatever, we use our transport van and we charge the municipalities that the charge is originating from to cover that cost. And then it does have built in itself capital improvements so that the vehicle can be maintained and replaced at the time of factory. So we do this, I think, about every year. Is that?
Can we raise this contract within the last couple of years?
A year or two ago, we did raise the rate. It's $125 per prisoner.
I feel like within the last 3 or so years.
Yes, I remember Mr. Smith discussing that with us at Great Lake. All right, that's my new stuff. Old, we do have what we call the financial split still on there, the 94.6. And then we do have budget discussions still going on this evening. I believe this evening we do have, we can hear from Ms. Arjun about the health department. We also have an auditor here and the law director here. And if it's okay with Lori, we can start with Ms. Arjun. Unless you have any summary you want to start with? No, I'm good. Floor is yours, Derek.
Did anyone have any questions about the budget, or should I go over my budget? How do you want to start?
Let's go ahead and go over your highlights, maybe some things you've accomplished that you're proud of.
Oh boy, you asked a question. There's lots of things. What this is like, each department came up with a few things that they've done throughout the year. And when you start writing it down, it's really a lot more than you think. We have a lot of things that we do daily. We've written that on a lot of things we're doing as far as coalitions, task forces, and that. What we're facing right now is an accreditation process. And what that does is it really enhances quality improvement and accountability and future financing and funding from the state and federal government. So here's just a few things, if I may. I'd like to take those and see what the health department does. It's more than just flu shots. And then everybody might have gotten these already, but this is our annual report, so if anybody wants another one, we have some extras there. So we've got really our budget's pretty much the same as it was last year. We don't usually like to take it up too much. We got for a couple of extra things this year. For years and years, we've not had anything in mosquito supplies. We've been doing an integrated pest management system. What that is most of the time we can put larvicide in standing water areas and mosquitoes don't grow. They can't multiply and can't cure. This year we had the most mosquito complaints that we've had in probably 20 years. We had 6 or 7, which doesn't sound like much, but that's a lot. We usually get 1 or 2. So I'm thinking from what I hear from the weather, next year may be a heavy mosquito year. So we've included $6,000 for mosquito supplies. That's exactly what it takes to spray the city one time for mosquitoes, is $6,000. So that's why we try to keep it as low as we possibly can. And the larvicide is about $100. So we put larvicide out wherever there's standing water, puddles, abandoned swimming pools especially, to try to control that without the expensive spraying. And then we've asked for $5,000 for computer upgrades. Our server right now, we have our own server, we're not on the cities yet, is from 2008. So to speak computer language, you know that's pretty old. We have 2 of our major desktops that are also, mine's one of them, that are also from 2008. And when BPI saw our server on Friday, he laughed because he thought it was in 2008. He said, "You're holding your breath, it's not going to last." So the servers are pretty expensive, so we're going to need to replace that.
So, I'm sorry, a couple quick questions.
Sure.
First off, I want to verify, and
transfer could
Okay.
pay.
And then, so when you're saying $6,000 for mosquito and $5,000 for computers, that would be all in what, price, service, and contracts?
Yeah, both service and contracts and supplies.
And it's an increase of about 30,000 or so. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
And your accreditation.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we also have a budget increase of 10,000, that's for accreditation expenses. We do have on a contract basis an accreditation coordinator. She's very experienced, has helped us through the process. We have her from May to May, and she's $20,000 for the entire time, but it goes by the hour, so it depends on how much we use her. So for half this year, we covered it with our own money, and then half next year, we've asked for an increase of 10,000 to be able to pay the accreditation coordinator.
Do you know why you're not on our server yet?
No, I don't know why yet. They're working on it, we're kind of like at the very end, because we're off site of the rest of the city departments, buildings.
And then we have in here the rent, and that looks like that was what we,
Yeah, that didn't go up.
that did not go up.
No.
So the same.
Rent and utilities are the same. We're on a month-to-month basis rental.
That was
Yeah,
my question.
okay.
And then, this might be more of a question for Lori. Here is the 1235 counts, correct? So that's not coming out of general fund, this would be a, what I'm looking for, enterprise?
Yes.
Thank you. So this is, you're funded by your grants and other government sources?
Yeah, grants, licenses, and,
And the city?
yes.
So, anybody else? Yes, Ms.
Is there any part of your budget that's put aside for, I'm going to say either building renovation or in the hopes of moving into another location where you may have to spend some funds for renovation? I guess I'm looking for planning into the future for your location.
Right, there really isn't at this time, but with the money we would have in our rental and our utilities for where we are now, we would hope to be able to take that and make that renovations or anything if we should want to.
Is there any thought to do so over the next year?
I haven't gotten any final words yet.
Ms. Premier?
Yes, what line item would your vaccines fall under? And are you seeing an increase in requests of vaccines from residents?
We are seeing an increase in actually our Latino population. 20% now of our clientele is Latino population, and a lot of those have the Medicare, Medicaid insurance, so that's where we're seeing an increase. So are something like flu shots, it's probably decreased over the years because you can get them so many places now. You get them at all the pharmacies in town. We used to be the only place to come for flu shots, and that's not the case anymore. But as far as the children's immunizations, that's where it's picked up. And we picked up a few programs this year that are similar to that, like car seat safety. You can come in and get your car seat fitted, sometimes get a free car seat depending on your income, and that fits in with our nurses and our vaccines.
So with seeing an increase in requests for vaccines, have we budgeted an increase for those vaccines, or do you reach a limit and then you turn?
No, most of those vaccines are free from the state, and they give us the children's vaccines, and so we can get more whenever we want to. Now, the adult vaccines we pay for, so we order those in small batches, and then those get reimbursed usually through insurance companies, and then we can just order more within a week. So we don't have any extra budget for that, we can just keep getting more as we get more people. Then insurance pays a small part of that.
Thank you.
I keep the mic tonight because I have trouble with my voice. But back to your question, Ed, we do budget in the 1,100 for the difference between what the health department generates and what they'll need to operate. So that is, we kind of forecast. Okay, it is on page 7. Yes, and it is part of the transfer out on the 1,100,905, and that is not just the health department, but some others as well. So we estimate what their I work with the auditor's office, I work with Debbie, and we estimate what we think what their revenue is going to be, and then we subtract that by what their total
So
amount
you're
is.
saying the transfer advance out line?
Yes.
Transfer.
Mhm.
And so that total line item is budgeting, 437,000 some change. How much of that would be health department?
I would have to look at my worksheet to tell you exactly. I'll look at my worksheet to tell you exactly what that is. So there's a few other things that are also included in that too, but I don't want to give you an incorrect figure tonight. So
If my memory serves me right, I think the health department takes care of at least like 75, 80% of its, and then we come in just for that last gap.
yeah, I would take, they went there, just because it went up a little bit this year, it might be a little bit more, but I know, I'd say maybe 50%, but look, I'll take a look at the pure numbers to get that for you. Also, to talk about the accreditation, I know there was no questions, but that is something that you need to have on an ongoing basis to operate your health department. So that is why it's very important that we get that done, so I want everybody to be aware of that as well. Yes, Lynn?
Do you feel that the health department functions efficiently based on the personnel that you currently have?
I think they function extremely efficiently. If you have not visited them, I'll give you a plug. If you haven't visited them, that might be something you might want to spend some time. They do a tremendous amount of work for our community, and I think that until you've really sat down and talked to Terry, you probably don't know all the things that they do. So it's very eye-opening, so I would encourage anybody to spend some time with them if they have not.
I noticed today, I believe on social media, that the health department is asking for hiring. How many positions do you wish to hire?
Just one, our nursing director is quitting. She's been with us for over 20 years. She's moving on, so we're going to be hiring, we're going to move our public health nurse into her position and then hire a new person for the public health. So we're not getting anybody new, it's just a replacement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have the auditor.
Well, good evening, everyone. And as you look at my budget, you'll see that my budget hasn't changed at all from last year. We're asking the same thing in our travel, seminar, schooling, our services and contracts, and our supplies and materials and postage. What has changed is our salary line items. And so I just want to kind of go over that with you. As you all know, I have 5 people that work in my office. Debbie Bump is my chief deputy auditor. She has already given her notice that she is leaving March 2nd, 2021. She has a huge job. What she does, I can't even begin to tell you, between paying all of the debt and it's just a multitude of tasks that she does for every single department in the entire city. And many of you come in and you know that she's the go-to person. All of the administrators would say that she's the go-to person in my office. Debbie knows. And so I have got to train someone to take Debbie's place. And it will take 1 year for somebody to sit with her and train. And right now I have Stephanie Meyer, who is sitting with her as we speak on a daily basis. Stephanie's only part-time, so she will be going full-time, but not until September of next year. I know this is all very convoluted. So I have to bring someone in to take Stephanie's place. And I have someone that I intend to hire, and I'm going to hire that person as a full-time person. Ashley is going to move into the employee's benefit position, and that's Ashley McCabe. I don't know if any of you know her. She's wonderful, plus she's going to be backing up payroll. She's going to be backing up purchase orders. Between Debbie and Anita, they have like 10 weeks vacation during the year, which is huge to have your people out that much. So that's why you're seeing an increase in this salary line this year. But then next year, when I submit my budget, it will go down because then I'll be eliminating Debbie's payroll starting on March 2nd of 2021. So this is just a temporary increase for my office. I've also factored in the 2.87 health insurance increase that's coming up, plus PERS and Medicare reflect any kind of a pay increase. So that's really where my budget is for this year. But other than that, we're right on track, and we can live within our means, and we are. And as I've told you before, my staff is doing an amazing job. I'm very, very proud of them, and I want it to continue to run as smoothly as it does. And I'm very confident that Stephanie is going to be able to fill Deb's shoes. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Ms. Greer?
I just have a question. Would it be stated that Stephanie's going to take her a year to train? I take it that her experience is not where Debbie is. Have you ever considered looking outside for someone that has experience that would decrease the amount of time of training, you know, maybe a couple months, and bringing somebody on board?
Well, I've thought of that, but my staff works beautifully together. And Stephanie has been in my office for almost 3 years. She helps receive in all of our receipts on a daily basis. She has a huge volume of knowledge. She's young, she's got a fresh mind, she's got great computer skills, and she catches on like this. And so that's a very good thing. I mean, to try to bring someone from the outside in to learn from the ground floor up. And then Stephanie is going to be training Ashley, and Ashley, another quick study. She's got all the background with the city. She's been with the city for many years, and she came to us from wastewater treatment, and she caught on immediately. She has done a very wonderful job. And so when Debbie leaves, Ashley will be back up for Stephanie. So it's kind of like a rotating thing that they kind of move into these other positions. But I want everyone in my office to be cross-trained so they can do other people's jobs, and they all are. The only one that doesn't do any other job is my payroll clerk, and that's Becky Danner. She's strictly on payroll, and believe me, that is a full-time job, and it's a lot. Although we're almost totally paper-free, we are down to one last department, and that's the fire department, and he's on a different program than what the rest of the city is. So that is the other thing, and I'm hoping by end of first quarter, he'll be on track. Police are on, and it's running smoothly. We push a button, and it's working. But, I mean, she has a huge job. She sends everything into PERS and Medicare and all of the assessments that the employees have, things like that. It's a big job. Yep. So I invite any of you to come in and meet all of my staff. Most of you do know them and have come in, but if you don't, they're really a wonderful group of people, and I really enjoy you coming in and meeting them.
Do you feel that the number of employees that you have is enough to do the huge job that you have to do for all of the departments?
I do. I think with the addition of this new person, and then with Debbie leaving, I think 5 is a very sufficient number. I truly do. I think that we can manage well with that number.
All right, and also I've been speaking to you recently about, I guess you could call forecast of maybe possible other certifications for this year and carryover for next year. Do you want to give a brief overview of that?
Do you want me to talk about carryover?
Sure.
Okay, that's on another piece of paper. I just had cataract surgery, so one of my eyes is really good and one of my eyes is really bad, and I'm trying to focus, and it's really not doing well. I know you guys are making fun of me. It's okay, go ahead. I have already recertified $2,178,000 this year. Right now, we are down because income tax is not where it needs to be yet. However, I looked at some things, and between November 12th of 2018 and December 31st of 2018, income tax brought in about $2.2 million. So I looked for them to make their certificate, which that means, if you look at the cash report, you'll see right now that we have a little over $4 million there. You know, that's wonderful, but we still have payroll to do. We still have 4 more pays, plus we have stipend pays that we have to pay out in December. And who knows what's going to come up that we're going to have to come and ask for more money. Am I going to recertify again? I can't say for sure, but I will tell you I am pretty certain that I will. But it'll be somewhere probably between $300,000 and $500,000. So that's a good thing. Departments are working well, staying within their budget. EMS is up. The NIP program, that is up. I will tell you who's done a tremendous job, and that's our treasurer. She has brought us in $472,000 in interest this year. You guys, that's amazing. That's just amazing, because at one point, we were lucky to get $5,000 a year in interest. $472,000. That was all part of my first recertification. Of course, the hospital had a lot to do with it, and we just received our last check of $515,000. We just got that and received it in today. And workers' comp, they send us a refund from prior year if we've done well, and we've gotten 2 checks from them this year. One for $63,000 that reflected in the general fund. When we get a check from workers' comp, it gets split out between all the departments that pay into the workers' comp fund. So the general fund, what they actually saw was $63,000, and another one was $184,000. And that's because our claims are so low. So we're doing great as a city. I mean, and you have to thank the administration and the people that work here, because they have worked hard to work with our budget and to stay within that budget. And I thank them all. They're wonderful people, and they're wonderful to work with. And I mean, we're a busy office. You guys know that. I mean, people come in and ask us questions all the time, but you should all be very proud of this. If we have a $5 million carryover, that's a healthy carryover. I'd love to see that.
And so bottom line, we won't know for sure with 8 weeks remaining in the year, as we get closer and closer to the end of the year,
Right.
a clearer picture.
It would be that last week of the year when I recertify.
So by the time we pass this budget, we will have that number.
Yes.
Because we'll be within that last week or so.
Absolutely.
Ms. Graber?
So I just need clarification, Jane. So if we have a $3 to $5 million carryover, I'm looking at the 2020 budget. That amount of the carryover, is that anywhere in this?
It is not.
Okay, that's what I needed to be clear to understand, that that's not in here anymore.
The money that I certify for the budget is money that we know that's coming in from property taxes and things like that, that we actually know that we're going to have to work with. This is all part of the carryover. It has nothing to do with what my certification was. And that's why when you approve money to be paid, like for things at the hospital and things, that all comes out of this carryover balance, because that's not budgeted anywhere in the budget. So when those things happen, or when we need to have special doors for handicapped people and things, and we don't have that in the budget, we've got money in our carryover budget line. If you look at the one piece of legislation you had tonight for the Legends, and they're asking for all this money, they've used every dollar of their carryover except for 12 cents this year. Now, the year isn't over, and they will continue to bring in some revenue. So they will have a little bit of carryover balance in the beginning of the year, but they used every dime of their carryover this year. FYI. But they're doing well. I mean, they're within they're within their percentage of where they need to be with their revenues and everything. So we watch all of that. We do, or I wouldn't have signed that paper.
So I have another question. So I have this budget in front of me for 2020, and I know we're going to be having additional conversations regarding certain topics. If council approves or discusses and wants additional funding placed into the 2020 budget from the carryovers, is that something that we can do?
You can only use for the budget what I have, the money I have certified.
So, let me see, so what we would do is, the auditor will only certify the money that she certified. If we have a carryover and we have additional special projects, my assumption is that in January, we would have to pass legislation using the unappropriated balance to fund
Correct.
those projects.
So that's
But
nothing
we
that
have-
we would get in place during this budget process.
We would have to wait till January where the carryover is completely known in the fund.
If you wanted more money to go into the streets, let's just say that, I'm not saying that's what you want, but say you wanted $1 million to go into streets, you would have to appropriate that from the unappropriated balance, which is not in the budget, and then that money would be appropriated to do $1 million for the streets.
January 1st. Okay, that's just so I
And
have.
that's, because I know we've had these conversations about, are we able to beef up some street projects, are we able to beef up some catch basins? And I think those conversations we can definitely have, but we have to get closer to that December 31st date to see what that number is. Because the other point to be made that we need to always be cognizant of, and I know you are, Mr. Chairman, we've talked about it, is as the auditor stated, the carryover is also that additional money for the entire year.
Correct.
So if you have a $5 million carryover, you don't want to just go in and do a $3 million unappropriated project, because then you've got 12 months.
Right.
So you do want to kind of stage it, stagger it, let money come in a little bit. So we might even look at, like, say, something with a catch basin, say we come out of the gate and say, hey, we want to throw an extra 100,000, wait till you get to April, and then maybe go another 100,000 once you start seeing some April. There's ways that we can do it and still be responsible.
And I guess that's my point. I think we need to do a better job in 2020 because, number one, is talking about the streets. When we had that conversation this past year regarding Walnut with the engineers, you know, we were told, I was told, this is all the money I have for the streets. So just so I get a better understanding that if we want to appropriate from the unappropriated balance additional funding, at what point do we do for the streets, for the catch basins, and for blight property? Those are my three that I'm going to move forward, you know,
And I
with council in
know we had
2020.
pushed to 500,000, but this means I think we were probably trying to get pushed up to like 700,000.
Exactly. That's kind of where I believe, I believe we received something from Linda, Lori, oh my God, Lisa Lori. It was 450,000 for catch basins, and I know Paul stated, you know, we wanted to get it to 600, so 600,000. So that was kind of my goal is, okay, we need to get there. How do we go about getting there? At what point? Thank you.
Mr. Manchin, do you have a question?
Yes, when you look at this as far as the carryover and planning what you're going to do with some of the carryover, if you're going to look at putting it into capital improvements, streets, catch basins, anything like that, you better get it done in the first quarter of the year, because you go out to bid. Contract, this is part of the problem we ran into this year with some of these projects here. There was so much money being spent in the county that there just weren't enough contractors to do all the projects. So that's why there are a lot of projects in this county that are behind because of it. So you're not going to be able to come in late in the game in August and think you're going to get something finished before
And that is my concern, and I know I had a very short, brief conversation with Jason. You know, when we start talking about approving this budget regarding streets, you know, how do we know that dollar amount is going to cover, you know, what we want to accomplish in 2020 when we don't have, you know, the list of streets for 2020. So it's going to be, you know, a hard sell to me approving streets when I don't know exactly what we're planning on doing and the cost of that.
Ms. Derrick, with streets and highways, do you think you could speak with the engineer and just see if we can get that process started now?
Get the proposed list of streets to be made next year. I think we can. Jason's looking at me like he might not be ready for that just yet, but I think
We started it.
okay. I think within the next couple of weeks. When is engineering thinking about presenting? Do we have them scheduled yet?
We're not yet scheduled now.
I'm sure we can.
How much time do you think you'll need? I would say, will you be able to have that ready in 2 weeks?
After Thanksgiving.
So after Thanksgiving, we probably have their presentation.
And then if we could give us the proposed streets maybe the week before, just so we can look at them, if you can, so we can have a heads up. If you have any questions answered that night.
Just let me.
Isn't it true that you have assessed all of the streets and catch basins in the city already? So what you'll be doing is going back to the list of those that you've already assessed and maybe rechecking to make sure that they would fall still into that categorization that your office did for those streets to determine?
We check the streets every year and regrade them, and we're doing that right now, so.
At the catch basins as well?
Wastewater treatment plants in charge of catch basins, so we're working with them on their inspections.
Mr. Minton.
Like I said, about a month or so ago, when I had that information on the catch basins, there are like 1,500 catch basins that have not been evaluated. Right?
Well, we can, why don't we have that with the, I mean, we're getting off the budget at this point, so that would be part of streets and highways when that presentation comes forward. Any other questions pertaining to the budget and auditor? All right, law director.
Okay, I don't have any pretty handouts like Terry did, so just bear with me. Have information. If you look at the law department's salary from this year to last year, you will see that salary line items really didn't change. And also to point out, if you've been on council before, you know that we have the majority of the law director or law department's budget is under law director, the 1,115 salary, 2111, but then under the domestic violence, we do have one of our prosecutors underneath that line item. That is our full-time domestic violence prosecutor. Her salary is primarily budgeted through the domestic violence grant that we receive every year. We apply for that. We don't get word on funding for that until later on in the year, so it is in the budget because we have to cover it. I think our auditor left, but she can attest to, we do get that money in. At one time, it was funded 100%, but across the board, not just with us, but with many municipalities, if not all of them, they have started to reduce the funding of that. But like I said, it does primarily make up her salary. There are certain items within there that we cannot use with the grant funding. I think it might be the healthcare portion, maybe the PRS that just had the restrictions of the grant. We can't use that money towards. But that's why you will see under 115 and 116, that salary is separated out. But as far as the salaries that come out of the 115 law director line items, we have a full-time chief prosecutor. We have 2 full-time courtroom prosecutors. I do have another full-time prosecutor position that has been vacant. I'm hoping to fill that here soon, but those positions are all positions that have been in the law department for a good while. We do have several administrative assistants, and then when we do have interns from law school or college, we filter those in as we get good candidates for potential intern positions. But that is on the criminal side of the law department, and to try to keep things sort of separated. The criminal side is, all of you know, is responsible for prosecuting and representing the state of Ohio in any criminal matter before the Massillon Municipal Court. And the Massillon Municipal Court is composed of the city of Massillon, Canal Fulton, Bethlehem, Jackson, Lawrence, Perry, Sugar Creek, Tuscarawas Township, all of those townships, the villages of Brewster, Navarre, Beach City, Wilmot, and Hilton Dales. That is what compromises or composes the Massillon Municipal Court District. So we're basically western Stark County. As I said, we represent the state of Ohio. We represent and prosecute for cases that come out of the Massillon Police Department, the Jackson Perry Police Department, also Canal Fulton we contract with, and I will get into that in a little bit, but we also prosecute cases that come from the Ohio State Highway Patrol. And cases that can come from the Ohio State Highway Patrol, or what you think of are interstates. I'm sorry,
Sheriff's Department.
Sheriff's Department. But we also get cases that some of you may not realize from the Ohio State Highway Patrol, but cases that criminal offenses that can happen in Indian River. Even though that is a juvenile detention facility, there are some individuals there that are over 18. So any offenses that happen there, and unfortunately we have had some incidents within the past year, a couple riots that end up over potentially a Megan's Fest, but that are, again, over 18, and the Ohio State Highway Patrol has dedicated detectives there that investigates those cases, so we do get those cases. Also, another, I guess, department you may not think of, Heartland Behavioral Health. When cases or offenses happen there, we investigate. They have their own police department essentially there, but their own investigatory unit there that brings us cases from Heartland. So again, just by the nature of individuals that are housed at Heartland, you can imagine that those are sometimes sensitive cases to deal with because you're already dealing with individuals that may be there for mental health issues. But again, they end up in the criminal system, and we handle those cases since that's our jurisdiction. As Megan mentioned, we handle cases from the Stark County Sheriff's Office, and primarily that encompasses most of the township. The Sheriff's Office is responsible for investigating those cases. I would say with the exception of Perry and Jackson Township, as I'm sure many of you know, they have their own police departments that investigate their cases and handle those cases. But those are the police departments that we interact with on a daily basis. The law department, or the criminal prosecutors, yes, we work, the normal business hours, 8:30 to 4:30. So Judge Trump sometimes has summer hours, so we switch to 8 to 4. But I will tell you that we have a rotating schedule that we are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have a schedule that we put out to the police departments to make it a little bit easier on our staff so you know when you may be on call, and also prosecutor shopping, that's what I'm talking about there. But we are on call 24 hours, 7 days a week for search warrants, for complaints, for general advice. I can tell you, I'm on call. I got a call at 9 o'clock the other night from a Perry sergeant about a domestic incident. We offer that service. We want to be there for our police departments, for our law enforcement officers, because unfortunately crime doesn't just happen during the day. Majority of the time it doesn't happen during the day. And if they need guidance, if they need a search warrant, if they need authorization on charges, we need to be there to give them that assistance. So all of our prosecutors are, like I said, on call a certain week. We have a rotating schedule. But myself, my chief prosecutor, who has been here at council before, Justin Richard, you can't get a hold of the person the prosecutor that's on call. You call me, you call Justin. That's what we're there for. I also serve as a representative to the Stark County Committee basically anyone who has anything to do with the criminal justice system within Stark County. This was a board that was established many years ago, and it's, when I got on the board, when I was appointed law director and was appointed to the board, you know, I was like, oh goodness, because the meetings are at 7:30 a.m. on Thursdays out of the jail. So that's quite early from this side of the county, especially during the winter months. But it's really, it's amazing to see all of these different, like I said, individuals who in some way have something to do with the criminal justice system, and how coming together and talking about, you know, jail overcrowding, or talking about, you know, what's going on at Heartland and how can they better serve the community for those individuals, or, you know, when, well, the ongoing opioid crisis and what can we do to help our county. So it's just been eye-opening to see how all the resources with regard to the criminal justice system in this county do come together. And, you know, regardless of what office you work in, we really do try to all work together within the criminal justice system in Stark County. So, like I said, I am the appointed representative from the Massillon Law Department and do attend those very early morning meetings. You know, another component of our, on the criminal side, that we do, and we have a good relationship with the prosecutor's office, with the Alliance Prosecutor's Office. At times we have conflicts on our cases, whether there's a dual arrest, whether there's a personal conflict with someone within our office, or any conflict, we may need to get a special prosecutor. And like I said, we have a good relationship with Canton, with Alliance, and the Stark County Prosecutor's Office as well, that we provide that service to each other, as opposed to having to hire potentially a private attorney to act as a special prosecutor in our office. You know, again, that's a give and take. I mean, there's times when, you know, we send someone over there that makes us a little bit short-staffed, but like I said, there's times where we need special prosecutors. You see dual arrests a lot in domestic violence type of situations, where, you know, the police, based on the circumstances, decide to arrest both parties, and then you can't prosecute, you know, the victim that you are now representing in court. So, like I said, that's a good relationship that we have with the various prosecutors' office within the county. So, on the criminal side, that's sort of the nutshell of the criminal side. On the civil side, it's myself, and I have another part-time civil attorney who's also came to city council here with me. His name's Gary Fry. He has a part-time practice where he practices civil law, even various types of aspects of civil law. As you know, we represent the city virtually in all civil matters. I mean, whatever is not criminal that falls into the civil realm, we represent the city. We provide legal advice, legal opinions to all the other elected officials, all the other department heads. You know, generally the department heads or the supervisors, if there are questions within the department, bring me those, as opposed to employees within each department reaching out to our office. But we are the legal counsel for basically the entire city. As you know, I help Diane with ordinances. I should say we help each other. Sometimes it's a matter of figuring out what was done in the past and moving forward with that. Something that I have been working with previous income tax administrator, Sylvester, and current income tax administrator, Lori, are income tax cases with regard to individuals who have not filed their taxes. And these are the individuals that we believe should be filing based on the information that the income tax department has and filings that we get from the state of Ohio. I can tell you those two ladies have worked tirelessly to really turn around the income tax department and really change the climate, I would say, in the city of filing their taxes. I guess I was blown away at what they remarked to me, that they were finding where people just didn't file their taxes for whatever reason. And you do have a portion of people who either didn't realize that they had to, or maybe didn't live in the city the entire year, only part of the year, or truly just, you know, didn't understand. But there was a good number of people that, yeah, I got a letter from the income tax department, but I knew nothing was gonna happen anyhow, so I just pitched it. Well, that's where our bread and butter comes from, I guess I should say part of it, our income tax filing. So they have really tried to work to change, the attitude of individuals. And unfortunately, that's where sometimes the civil bleeds into the criminal, but the income tax department has been sending a series of letters. Then our office gets involved in the civil side. We send another letter and give the individual another opportunity to get in and file their income tax. We're not talking about if, one, any tax is actually owed, paying it. We're talking about just getting in and filing. So we know what's owed to the city, because once you file it, and if there is a tax liability, then, that can be, I guess, pursued at another avenue. But we just want you to come in and file. And we've been working very hard on that, but it's been sort of a slow and arduous process. In the month of October, this is sort of the second wave of criminal prosecutions that we have filed for the individuals who, like I said, have basically ignored letters from the income tax department, and then ignored, for whatever reason, a letter that was sent from the law department. We had a couple arraignment dates. The court is being very accommodating and giving us our own sort of set arraignment date. And the first day, well, those days we actually had approximately 60 complaints filed. Now, granted, we do get some of those back that they weren't served, but I believe we've had about at least half or close to half responsive people coming in, and a good number of people coming in before that and filing their income tax. I don't have the number on what that necessarily yielded or could yield by way of tax liability, but again, it's changing the culture of people knowing in the city of Massillon that there is going to be some repercussions if you're not filing your income tax when you should, whether you live in the city or work in the city. So that is the big undertaking that I've done with the former and current income tax administrator, and we are working our way through the alphabet. We have a ways to go, but the goal is to get over this extremely big hump of the initial, I guess, enforcement, if you will, and then just having it be more of a maintenance, that if you don't file, you get the letters. But it's been a process. It's definitely been a process. Our office also gives, part of it is legal advice, legal opinion, in reviewing and helping with public records requests. I know that position has been transformed over the past several years, but as you can imagine, we get public records requests in daily. And although we have a reasonable amount of time to fulfill those, that is something that we take very seriously, making sure that we're getting that information out in a timely manner, but getting it out in accordance with the sunshine laws. If you've been to a sunshine law training, that statute has many, many exceptions, and it's just making sure that we're properly and appropriately answering those requests. So that's sort of the law department in a nutshell. I would like to point out, we do bring in yearly revenue. 25,000 is from a settlement from the county, and that was, settled before I was appointed law director, but I want to say maybe in 15 and 16. Again, for those of you that don't remember, the city of Alliance actually brought suit against the county because previously the county's portion to the 3 municipalities was very small. And although the Stark County Prosecutor's Office ultimately prosecutes felony cases, they do start off at the municipal court. If you're charged with a felony and it doesn't go directly through the Stark County grand jury, you start off here, you have your initial appearance, or arraignment, when most people think of it, and then we may have a preliminary hearing here, or that could be waived. But we do start off here with the felony cases. Generally, we review felony cases with the police officers, with the detectives, issue search warrants. So, like I said, although they ultimately are prosecuted at the county level, we do have a hand in at least the start of or the beginning stages of those felony cases. city prosecutor's office really deserve more compensation for the amount of work that they're doing for the county, or the public cases, excuse me. So, although I don't believe we were part of that litigation, we were included as a beneficiary of that settlement, as was Canton, and so we do receive that $25,000 from the county every year. That amount does go towards the general fund, part of the law department salaries, but we do bring that in yearly. Another yearly revenue stream that we bring in is the prosecuting contract that we have with the city of Canal Fulton. That's $25,200, and that has been in place for as long as I can remember with the city of Canal Fulton. 2 new contracts, and you approved these so that our office could start to prosecute cases from the Village of Brewster and the Village of Navarre. Village of Brewster, that contract is $12,300. I have been in contact with the chief of police for the Village of Brewster, and although I don't have a signed contract back from the village, but I do anticipate that they will enter into that contract again. Village of Navarre, that contract has brought in $14,000 for that prosecuting contract. I've also been in contact with the village solicitor for the Village of Navarre, and it is his intention, as well as Mayor Benson and Chief Alval of Navarre, to suggest to and advise to their village council to renew that contract as well. And we'll tell you as a side note, they've asked for me to appear at their council next week, so I will have someone else from the law department here, because I would go from the Village of Navarre Council to speak to that contract. But those 2 contracts, for a very long time, were not held by the Massillon Law Department and Massillon Prosecutor's Office. Without, I guess, getting too far back into history, it was one of those things that, no one could really give me an answer. But when I talked to the current chiefs of Brewster and Navarre, they were looking for a change and how their criminal cases were being handled. They wanted more accessibility, they wanted more of a brick and mortar prosecutor, and that's what our office can provide. So when I, throughout the year, let me know if you need anything, if you have any issues with the staff, please let me know. And like I said, both of those, I haven't got the executed contracts yet through staff from them, but both of those villages were very happy with the service that our office provided, and are on board for renewing their contracts for 2019, as I've been told. 2 more contracts, Beach City and Wilmot. All of those were sort of package deals, if you will, in the same private attorney acted as the prosecutor for all of those entities. But Beach City and Wilmot, my understanding was at the time that all of this sort of came back with the 4 municipalities, their council had already approved that attorney's contract, and they didn't, at that time, they didn't want to pursue any type of termination of that contract and come with us. I am going to reach out to those and have them see if things have changed this year, and they would like to come on with us, but we will, any contract would have to come to you for approval for me to enter into that. So those are 2 revenue streams that were new in 2019, and like I said, based on the performance of the prosecutors that we have and the service that we provided in the law department, they, from my understanding, want to continue on with our service. So I do think that's a testament to the prosecutors that we have in the office. I will point out that, the past almost 4 years have been, it seems like a blink of an eye, but at the same time, the longest 4 years somewhat of my life. My domestic violence prosecutor is the only prosecutor that is the same from when I took office. I've had a complete reshuffling of the office by way of either resignations, moving on, or retirement. And the staff that we have in place now, I'm very happy with. They do a great job. They, in the short time that they've worked for that office, the dedication that they've shown, I can't be more proud of. I know, and I brought this up to Ed before, talking about keeping professionals or coming back really. Yes, the healthcare portion has changed, but I can't do anything about that necessarily, when people's family situations change. But, with that being said, I have beat the dead horse that I truly believe that the law director position should be full-time. And I first and foremost want to say it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my needs or wants. It's what I have seen that office needs. It's what I've seen the city needs out of that office. I know that, for 1,000 years, the part-time position has worked as law director. When I took office, I made a promise to, the administration, to you, to anyone that I served in this capacity, that even though, by classification it was a part-time job, that I wasn't going to treat it as a part-time job. And I hope that I have lived up to that with, like I said, not only in the administration, but with all of you, with Diane. I have done my best to be as accessible as I can. But it also comes down to, what is fair for that position. And like I said, what the city needs of that position. If you take a look at it, essentially with myself and the civil attorney that I have, you really have one civil attorney for the city. And in my opinion, the issues that can face the city, just the time needed to handle some of those issues, part-time is just not cutting it this year. And take away the situation with Affinity aside, that was just,
Can we just break for 1 second?
yes.
Anybody have a question about the budget portion
Well,
of the law director?
believe it or not, I was going to dovetail into that.
I want to make sure, because if we're going to start talking about more of the full-time thing, I know we've already spoken to Mr. Gray, that would fall to his department or his committee. So I just want to make sure there's no budgetary questions when we go further down this road. It is pretty cut and dry. Okay. So, yeah, so the discussions about that, that will fall under Mr. Gray's committee of rules and courts. And I believe I already asked Mr. Mike if you'd be okay with getting a verbal on some legislation requests that he works out with you for Monday, because Andrea did express that, in order for it to go full 3 readings and still be done this year, you would have to have first reading on Monday, just so that you guys all have a good baseline of where this conversation is going.
And I know I'm very long-winded, but believe it or not, I was going to dovetail it into the budget. Any increase to the salary is not currently in the budget. In trying to craft the budget, I just want to be very clear that I feel very strongly, and like I said, I know I've beat this horse beyond depth and back. Not only to you, but basically to anyone that will listen to me. But in crafting my budget, I felt very strongly that I wasn't going to shortchange the staff of the office in order to make up that money within the law director's salary, because it's not fair to those employees, because they work very hard, and as an attorney, you don't get into public service to get rich. You know that going into it, but they do. They work very hard. They, like I said, are on call, and I wasn't going to, like I said, shortchange the office or take away from the staff of the office in order to make that money up in the law director. So I guess that's why I do bring that up, because I want to be very clear that if council agrees that this is what the city needs, that is not currently in those budgetary numbers for either the law director's line item or the law department's salary line item.
So,
See, I did.
and I don't want to seem like I'm cutting off, but I know we still have an executive session to go to tonight, and we still have a little bit left in budget conversation. So, are there any brief conversation or comments? Because, like I said, it will be up the first reading from Mr. Gray, and I'm sure there'll be more depth conversation at that time.
Just clarification, on page 15, under 1236, it says Law Department Salary Fund, and it has the $25,000. That's what you were referencing from Stark County law department, and then if you would get the executed contracts from Brewster and Navarre of roughly 2640, that would then go into that fund also? Is that, am I understanding that correctly?
The 1236 law department salary, that 25,000, that is solely the money from the settlement from the county,
Stark County.
from Stark County.
Okay.
Correct. The money that we receive from the prosecutorial contracts, they're not their own line item. We just,
Yet. Or,
no, they've never been. We just receive those, and those go into the general fund.
okay, thank you.
Ms. Lippman?
Perhaps for our first reading meeting, but my question to you would be, in the past, how many hours would you say this part-time position was expected to work within the law department, and where has that gone from historically to current?
I can't speak for Mrs., I do have other part-time employees. To me, part-time is 20 hours per week. So my current schedule, I am in Massillon all day Mondays, all day Fridays, and half day Wednesdays. My other job, I'm there the other 2.5 days. I can tell you there are many days, and again, I'm giving you my schedule, but it's not, again, so personal to me. But I can tell you there are many Mondays where I stay after work from being here all day long. And so there's conceivably 12 hours right there, give or take how long.
Bottom line is, you think the position as it's currently structured demands more than 32 hours a week of your time?
Yes.
So that would make it a little greater than part-time employees. All right, thank you, Andrew.
Can I just real
Yes,
quick,
sir.
I'm sorry, since I know you're cutting me off. I had given this previously out, but because salary is most likely going to be a sticking point, I've tried to,
And I referenced this, guys, and it's actually really good information. So it'll be something that you guys can look over for the next week. Andrea did a lot of good work here when she looked at different municipalities, and she explains what their structure is and how they're devised, and then their populations and how much that law director is paid. So it does give us a good reference point. And I thank you, Andrew, for taking time to put that together.
thank you. I'll be done.
Lori,
If anyone has any questions, I guess call me or email me.
will you come up for 1 second? Next in 2 weeks, we will have, I believe, Mr. Peter coming in. And then, I think there might have been some confusion when you said engineering. I know that there's going to be people wanting to talk about the actual projects, but also just their budget.
Okay,
So,
put that down.
those are 2 separate issues. I mean, we would love to have as much of both of them as possible.
Sure. I also have wastewater
And wastewater.
on the next work session.
And then we will probably still have one more work session after that available, where I think you're going through just general administration, the mayor's office, the janitorial area, there's a couple of those boxes, and it'll be like a final cleanup.
All right.
Does that make sense for everybody? So the next 2 weeks, we'll have Parks and Rec and wastewater and engineering. And then in a month from now, or 2 weeks after that, in our last work session, we'll do just general administration, mayor's offices, and whatever's remaining. All right, any other questions related to the budget? Yes, Ms.
Well, not related to the budget, but I wanted to remind everyone that on the 25th, we do have a committee meeting scheduled as well, and this would be for the Health, Welfare, and Building Regulation Committee. However, all council members would be welcome. Again, the 2 items on the agenda would be the sidewalk ordinance, and I do want to apologize for not being here for that. Thank you, Joe. But also the discussion on Airbnbs in the city. That is at 5:30 on the 25th.
Okay, that's it. Okay. Executive session.
Paul,
we can't expect delivery until mid-December now. So we're gonna go ahead and, we submitted a maintenance of traffic plan to Central Allied, to Open Lincoln Way. It's gonna be striped on Monday, so we're gonna hope to open it mid-next week sometime. It'll be controlled via stop signs, I can't give you the full details yet, because it has to be approved by the contractor, and we wanna make sure we have everything in order. But we are planning to have it open next week sometime for local businesses.
I noticed that there are bricks that have been marked
Yes.
for replacement.
That'll be part of our punch list. I know there's a lot of things going around on social media about the bricks being out of place, and some could be a tripping hazard, some could be moved. Project's not done. I mean, there's a even though the road will be open, we have, once the project is complete, like those are up, contractors out, we have a punch list process that we go through. And replacing each individual brick, I think we already have about 243 or something like that. That need to be replacing, and we'll have to do that. So it's not the final product. So you guys are aware there's a punch list process, so we do that once the project is complete. Once the light goes up and the contract is done, then we do the punch list process. So we will do a press release next week once we get the final approval and striking is in on the new on the open.
Are the intersections going to be four-way stops, or how is it going?
Well, again, I can't really get too much into it because I don't want. No, we're not going to. It's going to be open to traffic, but it's not going to be through. You're going to have to come down the area first, go across, and go back up the highway first. We're going to keep through traffic out. A four-way stop with 3 lanes, 2 lanes, 2 and 2. Very complicated, especially with pedestrians. So we're going to have it at 3-lane. That's the plan right now. Again, it's not final. We need approval from the contractor, know that. But we are planning. It will be. Well, everyone will have complete access to the businesses just like it's open. You just can't get there through the way. You got to come down. The side streets come over. Again. It'll help. It helps with safety as well. Since you have stop signs, you won't be worried about pedestrian crossings. Try to be not blessed. You'll have to purposely go and think your way to get there. You won't be accidentally going through and up there. Until the traffic signals are brought in December. And again, that's unfortunate. Don't kill the messenger, but that's part of the ODOT's waiting on their polls too. Everyone's waiting.
Anything else?
But did you want to give me catch basin numbers? She has the numbers real quick, and all you brought up, how many words do you want? She has the exact number. Thanks, guys.
I know you were asking about the catch basin numbers, so I do have those with me. As you know, I meet weekly with wastewater in the listings that I kept you updated on. So as of last week, November the 6th, we have done a total of 394 catch basins. Mr. Manson is correct in his amounts. Total catch basins of the city is 4,794. To date, we have inspected 3,401. That's 71% of them are completed. Our wastewater department has all the equipment to inspect those. They're on those now. While they're working on all of the other ones, of course, we don't have the manpower to do both projects. They have completed and used up the money, the funds that were there, so they are not back out inspecting the other 1,393. So to date, as I said, we have completed 394 catch basins. 187 of those were completed through the paving projects. 12 of them were completed through the target streets through the CDBG funding from HUD. Off of this list, the 4s and 5s, we have completed 183. And through Lincoln Way streetscapes, 12 of them were replaced and were completed through that. So those 4 totals will add up to the $394, or 394 catch basins.
Is there a timeline on when the wastewater treatment staff members will be completing the remaining catch basins?
I can't say that there would be a timeline. I mean, they're working on them as they can. along with their other projects.
Have we considered like outside resources to get this completed so we can have all catch basins
Yeah.
evaluated?
If you want to look at funding for that, there would be a cost, of course, so.
That's why I brought up the 600,000. That's the kind of spending we need to get to a point where then we can just use normal maintenance. We're still far behind.
But this is my concern. We've been in this project for 3 years. In 3 years, we haven't been able to evaluate all 4,794 catch basins. So, I mean, I guess.
When we started into this in the beginning, the wastewater treatment plant didn't have the involvement they have now. So we are improving the way we're handling it. We're still not there yet. Just like I said, we had 300, well then all of a sudden this past year when we had all the rain and everything, it jumped up another 100 or something. And we still have a minimal value. That's why I said the potential maybe 100 more. So we're surprised. But all I was talking about is just getting to a point where normal maintenance would take care of them and after that on the annual basis. Anything else? Okay. I make a motion we enter into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22 G3, to have a conference with the law director concerning a dispute that is the subject of imminent court action. Do you want to take a roll call vote on this? Make it official or second?
Okay. Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Manson,
Yes.
Starrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
and Irwin.
Yes.
9 yes to enter into executive session.
Maybe I should have read these first too. But
Oh.
we haven't done it that way all the time. The mayor isn't here.
Microphone, please.
I'm going to ask the Safety Service Director, Art Sylvester, Economic Development Director Dave Maley, Lori left, I believe, so we don't need to have her in there, and Law Director Andrew Scazza all join us.
And I council president?
And all council and council president and clerk.
Lewis. Okay, we're going to start with Littman,
Yes.
Manson,
Yes.
Starrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Irwin,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
9 yes to exit out of executive session back into regular committee meeting.
Okay, does anybody have anything here? Okay, is there anybody who wants to make a comment?
To the audience here? Yes, I do. I have something I'll say.
Sign your name
Yes.
and try to keep it to 3 minutes.
Oh, I will,
Please.
yes.
You don't have
There should be a pen up there.
There's not.
I got it. I've got two, just as a backup. No, I'm not going to be done for this, Blaine.
It's your time.
Okay, my name is, my name is Jeff Berger, and I remember what you said earlier today, or should say early in the evening. We were talking about the Massillon City Schools going to donate $50,000 to the tennis courts up there by North Central Park. Now, I remember when I worked for the Massillon Parks Department back in the early 2000s, I had the tennis coach for the Massillon Tigers as Doug missed when he was our supervisor, and Jay Bushbar was the director of the parks, and Don McNeil was my foreman. Now, when I went on my day, doing my task, and all the men I worked with, we all knew what we were doing. We worked as a team. As I stressed that, as a team, as we should be doing this tonight. Now, I asked the tennis coach at that time, how come you don't want to have your own tennis courts for the boys and girls of the Massillon City schools? Now, I stress this was in the early 2000s. And she said, when the school was opened, they didn't make no promise. They said, we will have a tennis courts for the boys and girls tennis teams at that time. And the school opened the last week as normal, a week of 1990, 3 weeks after Paul Brown passed away. Now, if he was alive today, he'd be doggone sure that all kids in all sports from Massillon City schools would have everything what they need. Now, why can't we do that now? That's my question to you. Why is the Massillon City school system is only donating $50,000 when they were supposed to have tennis courts on the premises on the Massillon City schools? Why is that?
You have to ask the Madison City Schools. We can't answer that. This isn't a question and answer session. This is a comment session.
Because like I said, it's hard to see that time up there, but it's just like I questioned that. And that really, when I came in by 4 till 10 till 7, 8, no, quarter to 7, 10 to 7, when that was in me of that discussion. I came in toward the end of it, and that's what I heard. And that just stuck in my mind. I'm definitely going to ask that question to you, if you knew that as well at that time. I remember the tennis coach said at that time, I'm sure she's still coaching now, she says, yes, they didn't promise us, Jeff. They told us we won't have it, and they never have it. That was in 1990, and this was in the early 2000s when she made that comment to me, and I was just for it. I was more than happy to clean the tennis courts to make everything was perfect for them, so their opponents could play as just as good as for our kids, for the Massillon City schools.
You'll have to talk to the schools on the answers on that.
All right. Thank you.
Anybody else?
So you know I wasn't talking about you in here. I wasn't. Bill Weaver, 28 Lincoln Way. I can't believe this news tonight. I went to Florida last week. I was sick as a damn dog. I'm laying in bed in Florida and I watched your council meeting. And I watched that engineer guy get up there and say that the road would be, with the poles, everything would be here by the 16th or before. And it would be installed right afterwards. What the hell happened? So from last week to this week, what happened? They don't even have the materials over there. Why are we given weekly? Why are we given incorrect information? Why have we been given incorrect information for a whole year? Why? And why aren't you people asking these people why? You're supposed to be representing us. I don't even know who my council person is downtown, but why aren't you people upset like I'm upset at why this project isn't coming to an end any quicker than it is? It's going to be January sometime before everything's done. You know, we probably all in our back of our heads knew that it was going to be this big of a cluster, you know, because it's been mishandled and misrun since the day it started. They called us together as downtown businesses 1 year ago. 1 year ago. And they said, this is how it's going to go. We're going to start, the water company's coming in January, and they're going to do their thing. Right after the water company does their thing, the streetscape thing's going to start. 90 days. It's going to be done sometime in April. It's a year later, but it ain't done yet. I said I was going to reopen Sugar Bowl on the 15th of November. There is no way in hell. I can't do it. I can't risk not having enough business in here to make my payroll. If I miss 2 payrolls, I will be in bankruptcy court. I will lose my flower shop. And then I will have no place to live. And it's all because of the mishandling of this project. I'm not blaming any individual. But as a team, You have the oversight of this whole thing. You've been informed, even though it's been miscorrectly, you've been informed, because you know maybe as much as we know. I come to the meetings and I listen to them, and it's all been lies and temporary things. It's going to be 2 weeks, we're going to postpone this, we're going to postpone that. The hell with that. When is it going to be enough? When is enough going to be enough? What's it going to take? Engravers Gallery is $35,000 down, 2.5 months behind in the rent. They may have to close by the end of the year. Smiley's down 50% in their sales. I don't give a damn what anybody says. I talk to them directly. Because we all are honest with each other. We don't want to put it out to the public that we're not doing well, because God forbid people won't come in, they'll think we're going to close. You know, I don't know about Lindy's. I know that Sugar Bowl, of course, I'm losing $3,000 a month in expenses. I've got a $2,000 rent and $1,000 a month in insurance, taxes, and fees. I'm still paying for a credit card machine that batches out every night. You know, you can't win like this. And the mayor said to me right back in the beginning, I said, what about us downtown? And she said, it's not up to us to worry about the businesses. And the last time I spoke to her, I said, what's going on? And she said, I said, is it going to be done on time? She said, well, until they tell me it's not going to be done, I don't know that it's not going to be done. That's bold. The same as having 2 people out there working on the street, and all of a sudden, right before election, there's 30 people out there working on the street. If that had been done in the beginning, we'd have been done 4 months ago. This whole thing has been a cluster from day one. And the businesses are suffering. And I said this in the beginning, and I'm going to say it again. What's the point in having a beautiful downtown if the storefronts are empty? In our block, we have 2 burnout storefronts. It's possible we're going to have 3 more that are closed. But it's nobody's fault. Nobody says, we're going to help you. Nobody says, hey, whatever. Nobody says anything. You know, yeah, the city gave me $15,000 to open Sugar Bowl. I've lost $100,000 since this project began. And I'm on the verge of having $0 in the bank. Because I keep hoping and hoping that what they're telling me, the next deadline is it. And tonight they said it's another month. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable from the city. It's unacceptable from you all for not saying something about it. For not sticking up with us and not saying, you know, we're here for the people who elected us. I don't know what the answer is. I don't. I don't blame any one person, but I'm telling you what, this whole project has been wrong. It's wrong on the city's part, and for the administration to stand up there and lie all the time about it is very much unacceptable, because they're supposed to represent us. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else?
James Otto, 2443 Woodbury Avenue Southeast. And I was going to give you guys a break tonight and not talk because I know it's been long and late, but I will say one thing. You want to give $15,000 to a doctor's firm to move into the city? Really? When you have suffering businesses? Really? $15,000? Do you think those doctors each need $3,000? Are you kidding me? That's not economic development. That's a payoff. It's also the mayor's husband. It just looks bad. I'm not saying it's unethical. You don't need to do it. Stop being silly. Thank you.
Anybody else? That's it.